Hello, welcome to Bryant Fitness Systems. I'm Scott Bryant, and this video is all about studying the C.H.E.K system if you're a personal trainer, coach, and my overall view of it, and why the C.H.E.K Academy is the way to go down, which will really help you learn in a much even more in-depth way than what I did back in 10 years ago when I qualified as Master Level 5. And I got a personal card from Paul, which was lovely. And I was being coached by Paul at that time 10 years ago. But I'm going to tell you the, not cons, but the struggles that I had doing it without the academy, and how you won't have these struggles anymore. So they have made it even better than what it was before, in my opinion. So apparently when the C.H.E.K system first come out, it was one manual about this big that you had to learn in 1 week, and many people just couldn't take on that information, whether you're whether it was personal trainers, osteopaths, physiotherapists, doctors or chiropractors, because many types of professionals have studied the C.H.E.K system. So then they divided it into exercise coach, level 1, level 2, level 3 and level 4. And you couldn't really call yourself a C.H.E.K practitioner until you'd reached level 4 and been passed by Paul. But unfortunately, with plagiarism, Paul talks about this in the fitness industry, a lot of people were plagiarizing Paul's name to make more money off their clients by going, I'm a C.H.E.K practitioner. But they was a C.H.E.K practitioner level 2, not a level 4. So they shouldn't have even been calling themselves that name. And that's one reason why the license is there now. So people know that when they're paying me huge amounts of money, and they pay me huge amounts of money, they're getting the best practitioner for their money, or what grade they want to work with, right? If that makes any sense. So I first heard about Paul in 2003 and went to see him demonstrate medicine balls. I was sore as fuck for 4 days. I'm like, how can this little ball make me so fucking sore? And it did. And obviously I met Paul, and Paul was in superb shape, and he still is in superb shape, and he's 61, 62. And but when I learned about all the studying that you've got to do to become a C.H.E.K practitioner, it didn't put me off. It made me even more determined that I was going to get it, and that I was going to be... They brought out the Masters in 2012, and we got told that when we was doing our level 4, and I decided I'm going to do it. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep going and get my level 5. Now, even though it's been a tough road, I've had lots of ups and downs in business, as well as, you know, getting the money together to pay for the courses. But I always trusted the universe, and always said to the fairies, the angels, and God upstairs and downstairs, that if it was meant for me to do, the money would appear, and it always did. And so when you had to do the old way without the academy, you had to study lots and lots of prerequisites. So you still have to study these, but you get more help. So here's what's this one? Signed Equal But Not The Same. It's all about women's training, which is really, really phenomenal. Then you've got Scientific Core, which is even amazing. Lots of assessments in there. And one I really, really like a lot is neurodevelopment for athletes. That's a really good one as well. And then you've got, which I use a lot still to this day, 10 years on, since I got my Masters, scientific back training. Then they brought out scientific shoulder training. Then they brought out the tennis biomechanics manual when there's a tennis course now. I haven't done that, but I may do it later on. But me being 52 years old now, I was in my late 30s when I started studying the Chek stuff, and every single level I went through, if there was DVDs to watch, I probably had to watch the DVDs 4 or 5 times to get it in my head properly. I didn't have no anatomy real understanding like I do now. I didn't know what flexion was, extension was. I didn't know what anabolic and catabolic was. I didn't understand sympathetic to parasympathetic. I've had to memorize all this stuff. So the brilliant thing about the academy is that when you're going through the academy, you will get mentored and coached through the process. Now, when I did it, and the other Chekis that are level 4s as well, we had to do it all on our own. We had no mentors helping us. We had to do it on our own and practice with our clients. And this is the number one key to being a successful Chek practitioner today, is that if you're starting it and you're doing the Chek Academy, brilliant, is that you've got to practice what you're preaching with your clients and on yourself. And as you start to practice more and more, you will see rhythms and flows in different injuries, different problems, and you'll be able to rectify them by going, oh, well, that client had that. We tried this method and it worked, so I'm going to use that for this client. Does that make sense? So with the Chek Academy, I don't think there's any other training organisation that has an academy where you're going to be coached and mentored to go through the program, because the Chek system is quite complex, but it's all in layers. You learn in layers. So you learn the bit about the core, and the core manual's that big, as you've seen. Then you learn about scientific back training. Then you will learn about program design, and then you learn about advanced program design. Does that make sense? So you start building stuff up. Now, what I found in over 10 years, every time I've used the Chek system, it's always worked. Every time I've experimented to go away from it, it doesn't work. Does that make sense? So if a client comes to me and they're chronically obese and really overweight, yes, I look at their diet and lifestyle, but I give them work-in exercises, and there may only be 3 exercises that I give them to do per session, simply because their physiological load is so high that if I was to give them 25 exercises, which I've seen physios do that when I get a physio program from one of my clients that's injured or got a problem, I'm like, why is it 25 exercises when you're 2 stone overweight and you're in chronic pain, and they're giving you an exercise to cycle on a bike to warm up, but you've got weak glute med and you've got weak vastus medialis, which means the weak glute med helps the hip to move in the correct position. So if that's weak and you're cycling over, 4 or 5 minutes, it's getting weaker and weaker, and that's going to make the knee weaker. Does that make sense? And the thing that I loved about the Chek system is that everything was practical. So when I work with my clients, if I get a client, say the client's a physio, and they want to hear rectus femoris, and they want to hear transverse abdominis and TVA and rhomboids and trapezius, I'll use that termage with that client. But if I get a client that's a builder, or they're a shop worker, or there's somebody that works in an office that's never studied anatomy and physiology, I'll go, this is your shoulder muscle, and this is your trap muscle, which is linked into the neck. And then over a course of weeks of us working together, they learn the whole body. Does that make sense? And I've seen other trainers that don't educate their clients about the muscle, the movement, and the nerve innervation and stuff like that into that muscle. Now, I only go that deep with the innervation and movement and all that if that client is ready for that. Because when I'm teaching the Chek system, it's so in depth that people can get brain fog or want it to go asleep because it's so in depth. So I've learnt this two system of where I go super in depth with the anatomy and physiology termage, or I make it really practical so they understand it. Right, you're going to stretch this muscle today. You're going to do this muscle today, which is the pectoral, and underneath it you've got the pectoral minor. And if that is tight, that will pull you forward, and that's why we need to stretch it. Does that make sense? So normally if a client signs up with me, it's normally 6 months to a year. I won't sign anyone for 3 months anymore because it takes too long to change the 40 motor engrams in the brain and to heal the body and heal the gut. So if you put your hands like that for me and put them together like that, so that's your motor engram to do that normally. Now, when you change that position, feels different in your brain, right? So this one is 300 repetitions to get in the brain. But when it's bad and faulty and it feels weird, it takes 3,000 repetitions to change. Can you see where physios and other professionals may be going down the wrong road in which to heal their or fix their clients or help them to get better because of that motor engram in the brain? Does that make sense? And I get my clients to do this all the time, and I show them that to them on the first consult so they understand the reason why it's going to be a long time. Then with the holistic lifestyle coaching program in the Chek system, there's 3 levels. Now in the Chek system, you have to do IMS 1, IMS 2, IMS 3, IMS 4 and IMS 5. But IMS 1, 2 and 3, you've got to do HLC 1, 2 and 3. Because a lot of guys were just doing the HLC and then not exercising the client, so they can't see the real result of the HLC. Does that make sense? So we do look at the chakra system through the body. Now, in the Peruvian system that I've learned, which is Alberto Villoldo's system, there's 8 chakras. Now, in the Hindu system, there's 7, okay? So that really intrigued me that I'm not only getting my clients stronger and fitter and healthier, I'm working on their spiritual element of their body. Now, categorically, every time I've had a client go, I don't believe in any of that woo-woo stuff and I don't want to do it, I have to make a judgment call whether I'm going to work with that client or not. Because normally, if they're not open-minded and they're too left-brained, they won't heal, they won't get better. Because they keep judging it, they keep cross-questioning it, they keep not trusting their own intuition in which to get healthier. Does that make sense? But I seem to attract these left-brainers, so I have to really work hard, showing them research, showing them documents and all this type of stuff, in which them to start opening up. So I worked with one client that was a very successful, an accountant, but very high level. And he come to me with knee pain, shoulder pain, back pain. And I sat in a consultation with him and I said, did you have a curry last night? And he went, yeah. And I went, well, I'm not supposed to smell what you ate the night before. So that's telling me there's something fundamentally wrong with your gut health. And I read the book called Gut Healing or Gut Health or something, and it explained that in that book, which was recommended by the Chek Institute at that time. So after saying this to this client, he was like, nobody's ever said that to me, and I've been to see chiropractors, osteopaths, physiotherapists and doctors, and nobody's been able to get me to drop weight, nobody's been able to get me out of pain, and I'm highly frustrated. So I said, right, if we're going to work together, I want to see you 3 times a week, and it's going to be £150 an hour. And I said, if you're not willing to pay my rate, I can't work with you. So I finished the consultation, had a nice chat with him and that, just to see if we got a common ground, because I'm quite I don't mince my words and I don't tiptoe around people. Do you know what I mean? What you see is what you get. So if you can't handle swearing or me talking about poo, don't ring me. Does that make sense? Because I'll just speak how I find. And he went, okay, oh, I'll have a think and I'll get in touch with you in the next couple of days. And a day later, he phoned me and he went, Scott, I want to work with you, but because I'm Asian, I want discount. So I went, right, if you want discount, what do you want me to forget? And he went, I don't want you to forget anything. And I went, well, pay me what I'm worth. And I put the phone down. He called me back an hour later. He just said, I just wired all the money into your account. Let's work together. So a year on of us working together, he dropped 20 pounds in fat. All his pain was completely gone. He couldn't lift 7 pounds off the floor without being in pain. He was doing 110, 150 kilos off the floor with no pain, balancing on a Bosu, went skiing and got his wife pregnant, which was one of his goals, to get healthier so he could father a child. So that made me realise that paying like the Chek system to learn it all will probably cost you 25 grand. But that 25 grand, you will make it back time and time again. If you're good at your marketing, you believe in what you do, and you sell with love and compassion. So I'm a bit, how can I put it? I sell with love and compassion, but I'm a bit forward when I speak to a client. Because the other thing you've got to remember is that when you're doing the best program in the world, the best program, because no other program is 6 years. No other program will you get like a one-to-one or you get the mentoring in the Chek Academy. And nowhere will you get the skill of helping anybody. Absolutely anybody you can help if they're willing to change and they want to improve and they want to benefit. The only time it won't work is when the client is constantly in self-sabotage by saying, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. And that's when I have to make a judgment call as a practitioner. Is it really worth me still taking this client's money? Or should I say, look, this is not working out because you're not ready for change yet. So maybe you should come back to me, in a couple of months' time, have a think about it, and then come back. And I found hands down every time I take a client to one side, come on, you need to step it up, you need to push yourself a bit harder, or we need to go a bit deeper. The client will go, all right, Scott, no problem, because we've done this stuff already that's really helped them to improve and help them to get better, And when you become a Chek practitioner, especially level 4, level 5, I think there's only 5 or 6 of us in the UK. So that means from a marketing point of view, if you're a personal trainer or you're a coach and you want to be elite at what you do, you will be in an elite club. Does that make sense? Of being somebody that has amazing knowledge of the human anatomy, of gut health, parasite and fungal infections, as well as mental, emotional blockages that a lot of clients suffer with, and that's why they can't get the 18-inch arms, or they can't get, they're not at their peak in their tennis. Or my golfer that I worked with for nearly 5 years, increased his golf drive by 30 yards and decreased his handicap massively, And I know without the knowledge of the Chek system, it wouldn't have happened, because I used to train everyone like a bodybuilder. But now everybody gets an individualized stretching program, an individualized workout program, and an individualized diet, lifestyle, and lab work program as well. So there's no way that I will be doing, this guy's got a forward head, so I'm going to give him this exercise. everybody's program is different because I measure everything and measure it again 6, 12 or 8 weeks at a time, depending on how consistent they've been on their training. And what you've got to remember, the longer the client has been in pain for, the more time it will take to change the motor engrams, get the muscles stronger, get muscles firing, get their breathing pattern better, and all this type of stuff. So I would say, with the Chek Academy, if you have your doubts, comment down below or send me a private email and we'll have a chat over the phone. And so for me, the pitfalls were, without the academy, it was much, much harder because I had nobody coaching me, this is wrong, that's right, and all that type of stuff. So that I had to make my own judgment calls when I was working with clients, and through repetition, working with clients, I got better and better at seeing stuff and knowing what the client needs. Whereas in the academy, you're getting that straight away, because I know they do mentoring sessions and you can ask questions. Oh, why can't I field the TVA? How do I field the TVA? Or how do I do a hamstring flexibility assessment? So a Czech friend of mine sent me a book the other day, and in the book it had loads of assessments which I've learned, but the assessments were done not correctly in the book, and they put pictures or photos of the assessments. I'm like, well, they're not doing that right, they're not doing that right, they're not doing that right, or this exercise is not as correct as it could be. And that's what sets you apart in the gym as well, is that you will learn techniques that nobody else has seen, okay? And the thing is with the gyms now, an average gym person or an average personal trainer will be in the gym for maybe 14 months and then give up. Or there's a few oldies out there still like me, with 20 years or 10 years or 15 years of experience. But the bigger percentage of them guys have only done one course, so they've been doing the same thing for 15 years. And because it works to a certain degree, they feel that they don't need to study anymore. So the client that they get with the shoulder pain or the back pain or the knee pain will be with them maybe a couple of months, realise it's not working, then they become my client, because they hear about, through physios and osteos and people like that, saying how much groundbreaking the Chek system is. But obviously when you spend I spent about £60,000, my rate is not going to be 50 quid an hour, and my rate is not 75 quid an hour. My rate is 135 upwards, okay? And that's simply because of what I've studied, and because I want to make sure that I get a client on board that can afford all the other stuff that I need to do to get them healthy. Does that make sense? There is some things that you can do in the Chek system that are not cost a lot of money in which to get your client healthy. But what I found was I've always having to go deeper with clients to really get them the result. You know what I mean? So if I was you and you're a new guy, you're in your 20s, just think you'll be 26, you'll be a master in your field. Nobody will be able to touch you with your knowledge apart from maybe the odd physio or osteopath, when it comes to exercise and sports performance, and you'll triple your rate. And you'll work less hours, and you'll look the best in the gym. So I trained in the gym today on Saturday, and I only done 4 exercises, and then I done, after the 4 exercises, I done, 5-minute intervals on the bag, because I like to hit things sometimes. And I'd rather hit something in the gym than rather hit somebody in the street or in a club or whatever, So I learned how to design really the perfect program for anybody, whatever level that they're at. Does that make sense? But my client base is people with back pain, injury, people that have been to see everybody and nothing has worked. And within, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks, if they've signed up for it and they're doing it maybe 50% to start off with, they start to see massive improvements, you know. And they say every session you should improve by 1%. So 1% over a year is 70% that client will improve by. But if they've, say they're really deconditioned and they're coming to me just for exercise and they've had a long break and stuff like that, I'll increase them by 100% within the first 4 weeks, guaranteed, every time, no problem. But I would never have learnt this unless I had done the Chek system. So I studied with the YMCA to start off with, done their diploma, started working at Fitness First in Embankment, London, then realised it just wasn't enough. With people with bigorexia, people with spondylolisthesis, people with herniated discs, slip discs, back cages, knee operations, brain damage, and all these other things that people can suffer from, like diabetes or obesity. But the thing that really annoys me is that 23 years on, we've still got an obesity problem in the UK, and still only 40% of people are exercising, and in Europe is only 17% of people are exercising, which is absolutely crazy. So I hope that you look into the Chek Academy, and I highly recommend it because you'll be supported through every level, and they'll make sure that you know the stuff inside out before you get any certificate. And the certificates, they do not give out easily. They're really hard to get, as in you really need to know your stuff. And I think it's 85% or 90% pass that you need to get in which to get your certificate. Say you did the HLC level 1, or you did IMS 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. To get to IMS 4 was really tough. I had to do lots of case histories. I had to send them all to Paul. Paul went over them personally. And then I had to do a 10,000 word of thesis. Never done a thesis. I thought that was a bit of poo, you know, thesis. Fetal material. No, it's a joke, right? And after doing my thesis, I had to get a guy that had a PhD to help me do that. So I spoke it to him and he typed it all up, and then we sent it to video and then sent it to Paul, and then they marked it and I got my pass, and I got a lovely card from Paul to congratulate me on going so far. One other thing I will say is that if you don't have a dream and you don't visualize it, you won't get to level 4 or level 5. You got to really want it that badly to keep doing it for 6 years. Now, I did go in a gym a long while ago wanting me to work there because I was a level 4. But then I realised they only wanted me there because they wanted me to give all my information to their guys and for me not to get anything from it. So I got away from that. And that's one thing you got to watch out for, is that other trainers will try little tricks to get more stuff out of your head so they can use it with their own clients. But I can see a bullshitter straight away. My bullshit monitor comes up and my copper's nose comes out, where I soon find these people and go away. I'm not going to help you, or you need to do your own research or your own studying. So I'm pleased I went all the way, and it's 10 years on, and I'm really, really proud to be part of the Chek system. One, I use it on myself all the time. like drinking my body weight in ounces of water, eating organic food, getting to bed at a certain time, exercising so many times a week, taking my vitamins and saying my prayers and doing my meditation and all the other, and my drumming and all the other great stuff that I've learned. So I'm not one of these people that does things by 50%. I need to do it by 100%. Does that make sense? And because I'm 52 years old with 18-inch arms, I want to keep my 18-inch arms till I'm ready to go to the next world, wherever you go, up or down. And I want to keep on being strong as I age, which many people will go through atrophy of the muscle or sarcopenia of the muscle, which is the medical term, if you don't keep training. And I can remember a family member of mine saying to me, when you're 40, you'll lose all that muscle and you'll be all big and fat. I'm 52 and I'm still in really good shape. I can go in the gym and out deadlift, out chest press and do 20 minutes on the bag, hitting it ferociously when they can't even keep up with that, you know. But I've only been able to do that because of the Chek studying that I did and the 1,000 books that I've read. And just a plug of my book, if you buy my book, Holistic Health for Proper Geezers, Classy Ladies, Get the Body and Fitness You Want Now, I will design you a program specialised for your body. But you can't just say your book's name's this. You need to read the book because there's a code in the book. Once you've got the code, and I ask you for the code, and I'll ask you some certain questions about the book to see whether you've read it or whether you've got it off a friend and think you're going to get a free program. But I'm more than happy to do that. Write you a free program that will help you with your 18-inch arms. You know, I am bringing out another book, which is in the pipeline. So you'll just have to wait a while. I have got a PDF book on my website about back pain, and I've got over 112 blogs on my website, so you can read that as well. And I've got how many? 2,500 videos on YouTube now, so you can have a good look at them. And I'm on TikTok, got 200 followers, over 1,000 likes now, and I've only been doing it a couple of weeks. So I can see that just growing and getting better. So buy my book if you want a free program. Check out the Chek Academy, and you'll see, if you haven't got any qualification, or you've done a personal trainer qualification, brilliant, and you've been working yourself out for years, even better, and you want to become an elite professional, then the Chek Academy is the way to go. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, please follow, please share, and work on your body like I do 4 days a week. Speak to you soon. Bye.